Namaste Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Welcome to this 29th evening session of a month-long global festival of oneness to celebrate Adi Shankaracharya Jayanti Utsav arranged by Advaita Academy. Let us start with the chanting of a Shanti Mantra and Ekashloki Advaita. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Ki Jyotistav Bhanumana Hanime Ratrau Pradipadikum Syadevam Ravidipa Darshana Vidau Ki Jyotirakhyahime चक्षुस्तस्य निमीलनादिसमये किं धीर्धियो दर्शने किं तत्राहमतो भवान् परमहं ज्योतिस्तदस्मि प्रभो. Today we are privileged to have Swami Bodhananda ji to guide us on Is Vedanta Otherworldly? Param Pujya Swami Bodhananda ji is a spiritual director, chairman and Paramacharya of Sambodha institutions in India and in USA, such as the Sambodha Society Incorporated, USA, and Sambodha Foundation in India. He is the chairman of Bodhananda Research Foundation for Management and Leadership Studies, a pioneer research establishment on Indian management in Michigan, USA. He heads and guides a unique institution devoted to interfaith dialogue, healing systems and Vedanta, Sambodh Center for Human Excellence, housed in a beautiful ashram in 30 acres of wooded land. He teaches Advaita Vedanta, Yoga Sutras, Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, and scores of other texts of Vedanta and Indian philosophical traditions. Being himself an embodiment of detachment and compassion, his words guide us patiently to the wisdom of yogic traditions. In India, Swamiji has trained many students and has guided them to the pinnacle ashram of sannyasa. In the past, Swamiji headed the Sandipani Sadhanalaya in Kerala. His teachings are imbued in quality that once takes the novice listener and a committed student to the sacred place of higher self. Being himself an embodiment of detachment and compassion, his words guide us patiently to the wisdom of yogic tradition. Apart from his erudition and Vedanta text, Swami Bodhananda is world-renowned management guru. He is an avid reader and well-versed in contemporary challenges that corporate leadership and corporate management face. He is a faculty for AMA and several management institutions and gives annual lectures, series and courses on significant topics that bridge management, leadership, and Indian wisdom traditions. In India, there are 12 Sambodha institutions that work under the spiritual guidance of Swami Bodhananda ji, dedicated for social and educational empowerment of underprivileged children and women. Of these, one of the most beautiful and the oldest ashrams with a full-fledged facility for his guests and students to stay is located on the banks of a river in the place called Kaladi in Trivandrum, Kerala. Folklore says that Adi Shankaracharya had visited Kaladi in Trivandrum. Another ashram, which is situated in the outskirts of Bangalore, Sambodha Center for Living Values, is guided by Swamiji's vision for green, self-sustained, and organic living. Sambodh Center in Bangalore has its focus in tree planting, medicinal farms, organic farming, protection of cows, and helping poor and downtrodden through charity programs. Every year, studios but underprivileged school children are selected for the purpose of Sambodh scholarships that support their education. Bodhanandaji's another unique institution is the Bodhananda International Foundation for Interreligious Dialogue, housed in Green Concept Ashram, situated in the quiet environs of Silverland Island in Vintilia, Cochin. Swami Bodhananda is an avid reader and well versed with contemporary challenges that corporate leadership and corporate management face. Swamiji's management lectures are sought after in India, having authored the first ever book on Indian management on Gita and management in 1994. Swami Bodhananda is the author of several books. His latest book is Indian Management and Leadership 2007. Other books include Management and Mahabharata, Meditation, The Awakening of Inner Power 1994, Happiness Unlimited 2000, and a monograph titled Rishi Vision. He has also authored two conversation style book, one with a scholar of consciousness studies in India and other with a young Indian American lawyer in United States. These books are Dialogues, Philosopher Meets the Seer, The Irrelevant Irreverent Questions. Swamiji's meditation has recently been revised and it's accompanied by a recording of several guided meditations that complement the text. His third major book, Self Unfoldment in an Interactive World 2001, presents an innovative rendering of this timeless topic. Contact Swamiji's on bodhananda@gmail.com. For more information, visit www.sambodh.org or www.sambodh.usa. Swamiji has kindly accepted to take certain questions after the lecture. Over to you, Pujya Swamiji.
Thanks. Thanks a lot. So my topic today is Vedanta otherworldly? And the concept of Mithya. That's the topic. There is a general notion, especially among the Western Indic scholars, and the Indian scholars educated in the West, that Indians and Hindus are otherworldly. They have no interest in this world. That's the kind of complaint or kind of assessment of Indian wisdom tradition. And I want to unpack this erroneous thought in this lecture. So not only that they say Indians are otherworldly or Hindus are otherworldly, they also say Indians has no historical sense. There is very little autobiographical narratives in India. For example, Shankaracharya or Vyasa or other gurus, they did not leave any autobiography, their own assessment of themselves. Therefore, Indians have no historical sense. Another accusation is Indians don't believe in progress, because this material prosperity will only corrupt human psyche, and therefore you withdraw from the world, and or even have nothing to do with the world. That is another accusation. So I want to reflect upon this understanding of Indian wisdom tradition. And also, Indians are taught to suffer their pain, or suffering is a result of your past karmas. Therefore, you cannot do anything about it. Just grind your teeth and suffer it. You cannot do anything. If you do something about it, your karma will continue. So suffering is something which you cannot do anything about and should not do anything about. These are the kind of thoughts which is populating the discourse these days. So we have to look into that. Is it true? Does it really represent our wisdom tradition? Now, why? How did this? It's not only just ordinary scholars, great scholars like William Monier Williams, Max Muller, and Heinrich Simmer, Schaffner, and Paul Deussen, these kind of great thinkers. They are the one who had this kind of assessment of Indian wisdom tradition. So it is very important that the Hindu native scholars, traditional scholars, who has got some depth in our tradition, must address this issue and set the record right. That's what we are trying in this lecture. So the main complaint is Indians say the world is Maya. Maya means an illusion, according to them. The world is unreal. There is no point. Therefore, some or other, we are waiting our time to leave the world. It's this time, some or other, you eat minimally and live minimally and then leave the world. The world is an accident. It's a carbon. The world is a dukkhalayam ashashudam. Of course, Bhagavad Gita says that dukkhalayam ashashudam. But that dukkhalaya has got a different meaning there. The world is a bounded. The world has got a special nature. So that dukkhalaya is to be understood. Dukkha really means limited space. Sugha means limitless space. So dukkhalaya is to be philosophically understood, not only just psychologically or socially. So that's what we are going to do in this lecture. So what does Maya mean? So two words are used, Maya, Prakriti, and Mithya. The word used by Shankara Jayati is Mythya. The whole Brahma Sutra, Shankara Jayati's Bhashya to Brahma Sutra begins with an analysis of Mythya. Mythya Prakarana. So what does the word mean, Maya? Ma means its root is miyade. Miyade idi Maya. So Maya means that which can be measured. The world is something which can be measured mathematically or four-dimensionally. You can measure it. The world can be manipulated. That is another meaning of Maya. So it can be measured, and then it is objective. World is objective, measurable. We can manipulate it, and world undergoes change and transformations and transmutations. So nothing is fixed about the world. The more we inquire into the world, the more we have to inquire. And finally, we come to the situation that the world is a field of infinite potentialities, subatomically, and cosmically the world is relative. The world is presented through the medium of light, and the light has got a certain speed. So our understanding of the world is limited by the speed of light. And also when we look at the world, we influence the world. Therefore, it is very difficult to understand the world, what it is. At the same time, it can be measurable, it is bounded. It has got a beginning and end, and then again it can begin the big bang and the big crunch. Srishti Sthiti Laya. So what is meant by Maya is, Maya means something which is indeterminate. So Shankara used the word Sad Asadhyam Anirvajaniya Maya or Mithya. We cannot say whether the world is absolutely real or whether the world is absolutely unreal. Sad Asadhyam Anirvajaniya. Very difficult to determine the true nature of the world. It is relative to the subject, Einstein's relativity theory, and also it is deep down. You know, if you go beyond the atom and particles, and that it's something indeterminate. That's all what Maya or Mithya mean. But there is one more addition to that. The Maya is not self-existing. Maya is not the end of the world. So Shankara says, Mithyayaha satyabhekshatvam asti. For Mithya, there should be true substratum. So Mithya is, the world is like a bubble or waves in the ocean. It appears and disappears. So this nature of the world, which is the truth, has to be accepted. So therefore, as you deal with the world, we have to deal with the world which is understanding. That's called Viveka. Nothing is permanent in this world. Everything is changing. So you have to run with the world. You cannot stay put. The world is moving fast. So you have to catch up with the world. Otherwise, you will be left behind. So jagrata, jagrata, chare vedi, chare vedi. Keep moving. An old solution may not work in the new situations. Therefore, be innovative, adaptive, inquisitive. And you can create many things out of this world, because the world is constantly changing and it's changeable. So you can become creative in the world. But all the creations are subjected to change. Today it blooms, tomorrow it fades. Or the morning it blooms, evening it is gone. Pradikshanam yad navadamuvedi tadeva rupam ramaniyadaya. So therefore the world is a ramaniyam. It's so beautiful because it blooms and fades. So this is the message of the Maya, the principle of Maya. But at the same time, the principle of Maya, this world, the Prakriti, Prakarshana, Pradyogyatvat Prakriti. Prakriti means which is put together, it's a construct from the Trigunas, Panjabhutas. It can be assembled and disassembled. New things can come out of that. So Prakriti, Maya, or Mithya, or Jagat. Jayade Gachadi Jagat comes and goes. And that's beautiful. It's something which is all the time the same, it is not that beautiful. This is beautiful. But at the same time, the Prakriti has got a foundation. Prakriti is not, as Sankhyan say, amula moolam. Prakriti is a source which has no further source. So Sankyans stay there, Prakriti. But Vedantin go one step further and say, the Prakriti has got its root in Brahman, or consciousness. So Prakriti is a vibration, spanda in consciousness. Consciousness, without undergoing any change, appears as the Prakriti. This is called the Vivartavada, appears as the Prakriti. Consciousness does not undergo any intrinsic change. So therefore, the whole world is so beautiful. It is full of bliss, because consciousness is bliss. But we must have an eye to see that. We must flow with the Prakriti, roll with the Prakriti. And our body mind itself is made up of Prakriti and ego complex. And according to Vedanta, life is an interaction between one set of gunas with another set of gunas. Guna guneshu vartanderi mattu anusajjade. So this way, when you look at Prakriti, you can engage with the Prakriti, you can interact with the Prakriti, because one set of Prakriti interacting with another set of Prakriti, and you are consciousness watching the whole thing. Prakriti kriyamanani karmani sarvani sarvashaha. Ahangara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyade. It is only because of your identification with the body, mind, the complex, you think you are the doer and enjoyer. But once you develop that Sachi Bhav, you are able to watch the Prakriti like you watch a movie. That's called Samadhi. You are engaging in the world with the body, mind, ego complex, responding to the world, receiving challenges. And the process you are able to express your inner potential as Atman or Brahman or consciousness or happiness. So I would say when you interact with the world, not expecting happiness, but to express your happiness. Like when you crush a piece of sandalwood, it radiates its fragrance. Similarly, the body-mind is an instrument through which Brahman expresses itself by interacting with the world. This state of understanding is called Jivan Mukti or Samadhi or Moksha, whatever you want to call it. So therefore, from this standpoint, we understand that the Hindus are very much engaged in the world, but with intelligence. So the engagement with the world is a necessary condition for you to explore and express your potential, which is happiness, which is bliss, which is intelligence, which is truth. So you can express your truth, experience it in manifold ways by interacting with the world. So therefore, we have to understand the Mithya as asadhyam anirvachaniya Mithya. That which is measurable and bounded is Mithya. That which is a construct is Mithya. That which is an appearance of the ultimate truth. What is ultimate truth? Boundless bliss. That is Mithya, it's an expression. So from this standpoint, we understand the Vedantin or Advaita Vedantin is very much involved in the world. He is not away from the world. And he cannot be away from the world. Can you take the clay away from the pot? Nor can you take the pot away from the clay. As long as the pot exists, it has to exist with the pot. As long as the pot exists, it has to exist with the clay. But the pot appears and disappears, of course. Where does it appear from? From the clay. Where does it exist? In the clay. Where does it go back? Into the clay. Then another pot. So this is the meaning of infinitude of Brahman. And I am that Brahman. You are that Brahman. Sarvam khalu idam Brahma. So therefore, I refuse to accept this theory that Indians or Vedantins are otherworldly. Of course, there is a Sankhyan. The Sankhyan says the world is a prison house. So you have to move away from the world, nothing to do with the world. Curb your desires. Of course, there are some Indian thinkers who think the Prakriti is a problem, but not the Vedanta, not the mainstream Indian thought. Mainstream Indian thought has accepted the Prakriti and its evolutes. That argument of Sankhyan we accepted, not the other argument of the Sankhyan that there are many souls and the soul is imprisoned in the Prakriti and somehow or other you have to extricate the soul from the Prakriti. And those kind of argument, it's an old argument. We don't accept it. So therefore, I say Indians are very much this worldly. The world is an arena. Jagatrayam Sambhava Nartanastali Naradi Rajotra Parashyavasvaya Sabha Nada Ranga Idi Vyavastidi Surubadaha Shakti Yuddha Prayuktada. This whole world is our dancing ground. We are dancing Shivas. So therefore, let us disabuse of this scholarly notion that Indians are otherworldly. You know, this new study comes that till the 17th century, India was one of the richest country in the world. India and China, they were the richest countries in the world till the 17th century. How can India be otherworldly? How can Indian philosophy be otherworldly? It's a colonial conspiracy to denigrate India, to put down India, to put down Hindus, so they can continue to exploit. You give a name to the dog and then kill it, as they say. So they were trying to influence our thinking process. And Indians are awakened now. We no more accept that theory. We are otherworldly. Of course, we understand this world is something changing, and there is a metaphysical reality which is the foundation of this world. So, but rooted in that metaphysical reality, we want to play in the world. That's the most important thing. Be rooted there. What is the rootedness? That my nature is happiness. I don't have to seek happiness in the world. I can happily express in the world. Then I become creative. Then I enjoy the play of the world. So that I can pursue anything. Every pursuit is an expression of my inner joy. So I am not a beggar seeking happiness in the world. I am a master of the world. That is the Advaita standpoint. So one has to understand that. So Vedanta accepts this empirical world. Vedanta also accepts a paramarthika or a transcendental or a metaphysical. But they are not contradictory. The metaphysical world, empirical world coexist like a pot and a clay. Please understand that. You don't have to give up the world to become Brahman. Pasyan, Sunnan, Spursan, Jigran, Ashran, Shosan, Nimishan, Nimishan Nabi, Aham na karma karodi. Doing all this, you understand you are not involved in it. Meaning, happily you are doing all this. Not for happiness. Happiness is our ultimate end. Bliss is our ultimate end. A knowledge which doesn't give you that understanding is no knowledge. That knowledge is hegemonic. That knowledge is to control the other. But a knowledge which takes you happiness, you have no need to control the other. You can coexist with others. Everybody is happy. So Vedantic knowledge is not a hegemonic knowledge, not a controlling, exploitative, colonizing knowledge. Vedantic knowledge is an inclusive with all its differences, because the world is full of differences. So that understanding is very, very important. And then, let us say, the concept of Jivan Mukti. That's our ultimate objective. Vedanta's ultimate objective is Jivan Mukti, not Videha Mukti. What is Jivan Mukti? Jivan Mukti means living in this world, living in this body, embodied, envolved bliss. That is Jivan Mukti. So you are living in this world. You are living in this body. And you are using the body and the world to express your bliss. A bliss which is not expressed is not true. It must flower forth in 1,000,001 ways and collapse into itself. The concept of Jivan Mukti says you have to be very active in the world. Like Bhagavad Gita, Name Parthasi Kartavyam Trishalokeshu Kinchana Nanavaptam Avaptavyam Varta Eva cha Karmani. Though I have nothing to take or from the world, I am engaged in the world. Varta eva cha Karmani. That Bhagavad Gita sloka is very important. Then Bhagavad Gita also says, Loka sangraham evapi sambhashyan karma kartum arhati. You have to engage in the world to nurture and nourish. So your nurturing and nourishing is possible when you are engaging in the world. Then alone you can understand your full flourish. Yoga sangraham evapi. All your activities is to nurture the world, the other person, the other things. By planting a tree, by digging a well, by nurturing an individual, your student, your employee. That is how you experience your Brahman. Yoga sangraham evapi. Then Bhagavad Gita also question. Karmendriyani samyamya yaste manasasmaran indriyartan vimodhatma Mithya sochade. Those who close your sense organs and lock their legs and sit with their eyes closed in a cave, he is a Mithya. He is a fake person. He is not an honest person. He is afraid of the world. He is not confident about himself or herself. So such a person is condemned in the Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, and then Ishavasya Upanishad, Kurvanneveha karmani jijibhishat shatagam samaha. Live in this world for 100 and more, maybe 120 years. Kurvanneveha karmani. Be very active in this world. Jijibhishat shatagam. Decide to live in this world. It's an opportunity. It's a Brahman project. This is how Brahman reveals. So thus we understand that the Bhagavad Gita, Vedanta, and the Indian wisdom tradition, they advocate an active life in this world, not a passive life, not a passive life. Now let us see some instances. Our great Vedantic masters, Shankara Jayanti, Vyasa, Yajnavalkya, they were all very active people engaging in dialogue and winning contests and then winning arguments and then using various strategies of winning an argument and then traveling all over the country. Shankaracharya from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, from Guwahati to Dwaraka. He moved all over. He established temples. He wrote bhashyas, kirtans, established mud, taught students. In 32 years, he achieved so much. Can you say he's an inactive person, otherworldly person? Ignoring the world. Swami Vivekananda traveled all over the world. Though he was sick, in spite of his illnesses, he traveled all over the world, gave great lectures, influenced millions of people, scholars and laymen, established mud and trained the students, engaged in argument. Vivekananda. Vyasa. Vyasa even produced children because it was a necessity. It was necessity at that time. So therefore, if you look at these Vedantic masters, we find all of them are very, very active people. They were never passive. How can you say Vedanta is otherworldly? What do you mean by that? This is a Christian concept imposed upon Hindus. But Christian liberation is after death. Christ died on the cross. This is not an Hindu concept. So, if we look at Hindu masters, we find that they all are very, very active people. They died with their boots on. You can put it that way. They were very much concerned with the world, with the patience. Now, other accusation is Hindus have no sense of history. They have no sense of history. Now, if you look at Hinduism, we have a continuous thread of history in our culture, if you look at that. Even today, we are chanting Gayatri Mantra. Even today, we are doing Agnihotra. Even today, use the same word, Indra, Rudra, for gods. So, 7,000 years old history or experience is still being remembered. How can we say Indians have a sense of history? Indians do have a sense of history. All other civilizations have died and disappeared. Nobody remembers what Egyptian history is. Nobody remembered what is Roman history was. But now, every child in India, educated child, is conscious of Gayatri Mantra. Or they talk about Rama, Krishna. So we do have a sense of history, and we continue that memory in our lives. So I don't accept this notion that Indians did not have a sense of history. They did have a sense of history. What is essential in history? Of course, they might not have written about the kings and their conquests and their killings and all that. That is not worth the recording. That is again a hegemonistic sense of knowledge to control other people. Indians are more interested in there's a cultural life, religious and spiritual life. That is the history they have recorded. So there is a sense of history for Indians. Then the other idea is that Indians have an idea of progress. The Western idea of progress is linear progress. You have to grow 4% per annum, your GDP should grow continuously. So as a result of that, what has happened, that Western sense of linear progress has brought us to this present condition of environmental problem, unacceptable levels of inequality, and the nuclear weapons, and then conquest of nature, and our life is in a mess now. So what Indians believed was, progress got to a certain apogee point, then it has started declining. So progress is not linear, it is cyclical. It has to be understood. So progress has its own, it has got its own inherent destructive tendency. So Indians have a cyclical view of progress. And not only that, they divide the progress into two areas. One is GDP growth, material growth. The other is inner growth, cultural growth, spiritual growth. Shreyascha prayascha manushyametat tav sambaritya vivinakti dhira. Shreyas and prayas. Prayas is material progress, and Shreyas is inner spiritual progress. Unless they go together, there is no progress. This progress will be a calamitous progress. Mere in terms of GDP, is a calamitous progress. Human beings also have to balance material progress with the spiritual, inner, cultural progress. That is India's view of progress. Therefore, we cannot say Indians are not concerned with the progress. Indians are concerned with the genuine progress. So these days we find that earlier we are thinking of GDP, now we are thinking of Human Development Index, HDI, not just GDP. GDP is necessary to a certain level. Then we have to think of human development, nature, planet, equality. So this idea was very much rooted in Hindu tradition. That is why we say mere linear material progress is no progress. We have to combine this. And hence, and thirdly, and finally, the idea of suffering. So the accusation is Indians say that suffering is a result of your past karma. Therefore, endure it, suffer it. Prarabdham tiva bhujyata. You cannot do anything about it. Even if you try to do something about suffering to remove it, then you are introducing more karmas. You'll have to take another birth, which is not true. Indians say suffering is not inevitable. You don't have to suffer. Your nature is happiness. Understand that. And to understand that, you have to live a life of harmony. Dharma. So live a life of harmony, discipline, moderation. Then not only you will have material happiness, you will get spiritual bliss also. Indians believe, or Vedanta teaches, that there can be liberation from suffering, which is called moksha. So we are not taught to accept suffering meekly. We are taught to look at your suffering, discipline yourself, and get out of this suffering, from dukkha to sukha, from ignorance to enlightenment, from nirvana, from samsara to nirvana. It can be achieved right now here. Even these pandemic times, we are running for pillar to post helplessly. You can develop your own immunity, but changing your lifestyle, by changing your thought process, by changing your eating habits, you can take charge of your health. It does not mean you don't have to get vaccination. Get vaccination. Vaccinated. At the same time, you need this personal discipline. So we don't have to suffer. Indians are not taught to accept suffering meekly. Indians are taught to look at your suffering and then discipline yourself. Get out of this. So finally, what we are teaching is a balance of pursuits. The four purusharthas. Kama, artha, dharma, moksha. So we need kama. Kama means pleasures. A convenient, comfortable living condition is necessary, for which you have to work, of course. We also need some security. Where is my next meal? What will happen to me tomorrow? So we have some security concerns. So artha is necessary. And with that artha, we have to practice dharma, meaning sharing with others, whatever you have, whatever artha you have. Maybe physical capabilities, intellectual capabilities, knowledge capabilities, share with others. That is called dharma. And then moksha. So one have to combine all the four in a beautiful mix. Don't go to extremes. Extremes are madness. That is the central teaching of Bhagavad Gita. Mitatvam, yukta ahara viharasya, yukta yashtasya karmasya, yukta sapnava bodhasya, yogo bhavati dukkha. That moderation, a creative blending of these four pursuits. That is what Bhagavad Gita teaches, Vedanta teaches. So friends, my ultimate argument is, Indians are as much this worldly as anybody else, but they have a higher vision also about life. Indians have a sense of history. Indians have a sense of progress, right kind of progress. Indians are very active. And finally, Indians believe in harmonious life, harmonizing all these pursuits. So I am sure this Advaita philosophy is going to be the world philosophy. The world is looking for a harmonious, a syncretic philosophy where you harmonize everything, not taking in a linear way and then forget about other things, forget about the consequences. So Advaita Vedanta, I think, will be a candidate for world global religion. Religion means a lifestyle which helps you deepen your roots and harmonize everything. That is Advaita Vedanta. Thank you very much. Hari Om.
Thank you very much, Pujya Swamiji. Pujya Swamiji, thank you. Can we please take a few questions?
Of course, I can.
The first question is our life Mithya? How does one reconcile it with Veda, Vedanta, and Advaita if it is in the same world?
Can you repeat? Is our life Mithya? Or?
Yeah, if is our life Mithya? How do you define Ved, Vedanta, and Advaita in that connection?
Yeah, like Mithya means, the duality or measurableness and then interactions and dynamism and all that. So life in that sense is an interaction between body, mind, ego complex and the world. This interaction is called living, receiving sensation, responding to sensations, and then growing and then dying, reproducing, fighting. This is called Mithya. So this Mythya has got a real substratum, the Brahman substratum. And the Brahman manifests through this Mithya. Mithya is a Brahman's expression. Brahmashaya Maya asti, isn't it? And it's from the Brahmashaya Maya, the Trigunas, Panchabhutas was manifested. So this world is not separate from Brahman. Brahman's incarnation is the world. So therefore, when I look at the world and interacting with the world, I can still be Brahman. So let's not create this division, this watertight division between the world and Brahman. Let's not create the division between the pot and the clay. When you look at the pot, you are looking at the clay. When you touch the pot, you are touching the clay, isn't it? So when you look at the world, interact with the world, where are you? Where are you? In Brahman only. So you don't have to leave the world to be in Brahman. That's a kind of dichotomy you are creating and create conflict and dissipative life. So look at the world with a clear eye and see it is a incarnation, manifestation of Brahman. Like an actor. When you look at an actor, Amitabh Bachchan, like a coolie, hunchback and all that, whom are you seeing actually? Real Amitabh Bachchan. This is only a play. So when I am living in the world, you can live with that awareness that my nature is happiness and then live in this world. That's how you harmonize.
Second question is, Indians are believers in fate. Indians are believers in fate. Does fate conform with Advaita philosophy?
Fate in the sense that there is an influence of the past in your present life. The past has burnt into your personal life. To that extent, of course. But the present life can be molded by your awareness, by your intentions, by your effort, in a different way. Yes, Indians believe that there is an influence of past, but you don't just remain influenced by the past like a tree or a stone. Even tree is influenced by the environment, isn't it? Its root goes where the water is, its branch goes where the sunlight is. So it has got a certain choice. Similarly, we can play the card that is given to you is from the past, your genetic and mimetic memories. But how you play with it depends upon your intelligence, your choice, ability to make choice. So we don't believe in fate in that fatalistic sense. We believe in faith in the sense that we are given a certain set of cards and it is for me to play intelligently.
Is balanced pursuit of life, in balanced pursuit of life, how can all vasanas be resolved?
Yeah, what is the meaning of vasana? Vasana is our memories. Memories of the life we have lived in the past. It can stretch backward to, previous lives also. We are not quite clear about that because your genes contain the memories of even Big Bang. The big O, the first O, that is a Big Bang, isn't it? The Brahman said, "Oh," then the world appeared. Indian idea. So all the memories are there in your genes. So that memory is called our samskaras, and that samskara is with which we are interacting with the world. So you are not destroying your samskara, you are only modifying it, and then you are transcending it, and then you are playing with it. If there is no samskara, then you cannot do anything. You are empty. So samskara is your memory. What are the kind of memories? Memories like you studied mathematics, you know how to cook. Your emotional memories, somebody scolded you, somebody abused you. These memories are there. Or you are in your effort to live in this world, you get more knowledge. Those memories are important. It is with that memory you deal with the world. So samskaras are not completely eliminated. Samskara can be transformed and changed in interaction with the world. New knowledges can come. And those samskaras are necessary to interact with the world. So you are seeing samskaras is mithya. That knowledge is transcending or eliminating the samskaras.
How can one organize oneself for daily life in this situation?
Look at the world. You have the intelligence to look at the world. Look at the world. Learn from the world. What is the world telling you? What is your neighbor telling you? What is your wife telling you? What are your children telling you? Because they all are individuals. They have their own existence. You are one individual among a family of individuals. Even a tree has got an individuality. A stone has an individuality. Cat has an individuality. Dog has an individuality. A servant has an individuality. They are playing different roles. That's it. And they have to play their respective role. Otherwise, the world cannot sustain itself. That's why it is said in Brahadanya Upanishad. First, Brahman created Brahmin, then Kshatriya, then Vaishya, then Shudra. Vaishya, Brahman was not happy. World is incomplete. Then he created the Vaishya. He said, "Oh, now it is complete. I am Shudra. Now it is complete." Then they start fighting among themselves. Then Brahman created Dharma and Satya, the rules of dialoguing and interaction, so that it can create a situation of flourish and synergy. So, how do we live in this world? You have not come with that wisdom. You have some past experiences, but the world is new now, because I told you, Maya is ever changing. The past experience, some you have to unlearn, relearn and all that. So live a dynamic, open architecture, open mind, and then learn, and then interact. So that intelligence we have to use. Old knowledge may not work in the new situation. Old knowledge is past, gone, dead. But they are nourishment for you. Use that to understand the world, and as the world will teach you. So we need a dialogue between the present and your past so that you can create the future.
How do you see or foresee the world in this century, rest of the century?
Rest of the century, I see there are 5 central problems that we are facing as a global community. One is the problem of environmental issues. Lack of drinking water. Drinking water is the water table is going down, and the glaciers are melting, and the water level, oceanic water level can go up, and the ozones are punctured, and all that. So one is the environmental problem. Second is the nuclear weapons, because nations are trying to get nuclear weapons. Rogue states like Iran or the North Korea and Pakistan. These are rogue states. They also have weapons. And Israel, weapon. So the nuclear weapon, and more states will have nuclear weapon. Turkey may have, Saudi Arabia may have, or Brazil may have, or South Africa may, or some other state. So there will be, the nuclear weapon is another threat for the world. We have to be careful. And the third is inequality, because the 1 against 99, problem. Wealth is accumulating, and with the help of modern technology, more wealth can be accumulated. That will create a situation where the majority, masses, is pitted against the classes. It will create a big issue. And migration. As a result of that is migration. Migration because the third world countries are poor, and they see every day in the TV, America, Europe, and all that. So they want to go there. Drugs, because I am poor, I have no money, and I have to live like a rich man, because that's what I see on the TV. So women are ready to bring drugs and hiding in various parts of their body, and then that's another issue. They all do inequality. And then so planetary issues, inequality, and nuclear weapons, and then pandemic. This pandemic, one pandemic or other will keep on coming. You cannot help it. So pandemic. And because we have destroyed the forest, so the animals, wild animals and human beings, their territories are, all the boundaries are gone. So pandemic will keep on coming. And finally, the machine age. The machine will hollow out our cell. They'll hack our brain, and humanity will lose their identity. That is another, and humanity may just disappear. That is another danger we are facing. I think these are the 4-5 dangers globally. And individually, of course, our problems are there. So these are the global dangers. We have to be very, very careful and aware.
Are there many jivas or one Paramatman reflecting in various bodies?
One Paramatman reflecting in various parts, that is a Vedantic view. The other is Sankhyan view. There are many Atmas, many selves. So I believe that Vedantic view is better. It's a more decent and hygienic and clean theory, rather than many souls and then, all kind of confusion.
One last question. I can realize my Atman. How are we realize that my Atma and Brahman are one and the same?
My simple answer is, one thing is the scripture says that. Because in these matters, our pramana is the scripture. It is not our limited, intellect. With our limited intellect, we can go only up to sleep or ignorance. The more you know, the more ignorant you are. That's what you're discovering. Or if you keep on inquiring, meditating, you can go to sleep. So if you want to break that barrier, you have to take the help of scripture. Scripture says that you are Brahman. And what is Brahman? Happiness, bliss, Ananda. So you believe in it, or you accept it as the pramana. So your knowledge is determined by the, like you accept what your eyes are saying. Here is a chair, my eyes say I accept it. And I may go and touch it, another sense organ. I may sit it, another sense. So you have no other way of going beyond these senses, isn't it, in understanding things, material things? Similarly, how do you know you have got an emotion? It's not with your eyes or ears or nose. You know you have got an emotion because Sakshi, inside there is a Sakshi, Sakshi Pratishtha. Similarly, how do you know there is beyond something? Because it indicates, because here things are all changing. So there is an indication, so we are forced to search for that. What is the pramana for that? Shabda pramanam. So Brahma Sutra, one of the sutra is Janmadhyasya yataha and Shabda Shastra Yonitva, isn't it? Shastra Yonitva. The Shastra is the way of knowing. This pramana siddhi is very, very important. Therefore, unless you, in India gives a lot of, our tradition gives a lot of importance to pramana siddhi. Now they are only thinking of the Prameya Siddhi. What is Prameyam? That's what they are thinking. But what is the Pramana to know that? So this Pramana Siddhi is equally important as Prameya Siddhi, and Prameya Pramana Siddhi also is important as Pramadra Siddhi. Who has the capability to uncover these things? Unless the Pramadra is there, Pramana cannot be used properly. That is why Athado Brahma Jignasa. Thereafter, therefore, inquiry into Brahman, isn't it? So we need that Pramana. How do we know that I am Brahman? Because scripture says. Now you fake it. Have a faith in that. Fake it and you can make it. Why do you make it? Because you are that. That's the truth. So what is the problem is the words. We are not using the right words, which is called ignorance. So instead of saying I am a dukhi, I am a miserable person, keep saying every day in the morning, Shivoham, 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 Aham Brahmasmi, and live like that. And what are you going to lose? Tell me, let me know. You may lose this body, isn't it? You may lose a little money, isn't it? And I am sure you will not lose anything. You will be the gainer.
Sashtang Dandot, Swami, Sashtang Dandot on behalf of all the viewers. It was really a very enlightening evening for me personally. To say that Abhyuday has never been a hurdle in Nishayas Prapti under Indian school of thought. That's really greatest achievement for this evening for me. Thank you. Sashtang Dandot again.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, all these listeners. Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.